We're rolling.
Hey, it's me, the Texas State Sports Press, Andrew Zimmel. Thank you to the guys over at the San Mo Show for having me on. Talk about a ton of different topics, including your questions and the coronavirus. Wash your hands, guys.
All right. What's up, Sand Martians? Welcome to another episode of the San Mo Show. I'm your host with the San Most, Cleveland, and joining me today is the host of the Andrew Zimmel podcast and Texas State's very own sports prez, Andrew Zimmel. Andrew, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on. You had Jaden and Jacob on, so the bar is pretty high for me.
I'm doing the just University Star, making the rounds. Got to get everybody on at one point. So, so you're the sports prez.
Yep.
Right? So explain to me how you got that nickname.
So I woke up one morning, I guess it was freshman or sophomore year, like somewhere in that range, and I said to myself, I do more than a lot of the people around here. I was in the press box with Awesome American Statesman writers, the Daily Record writers. The Star at the time wasn't really sending a lot of people around. It was one of those, I say student media ebbs and flows. I just happened to be at a lot of games, and I said, I know this a lot better than everybody else around here. So I said, I'm the Texas State Sports Prez. Barstool Texas State really hadn't made a hold here yet either. So I was kind of thinking to myself, well, you got to start a brand young. So I said, what I'm going to do, Cleveland, I'm giving you the background, how the sausage is made. Yeah. You're the Texas State Sports Prez now. You graduate, you're the Sports Prez. You go to CBS Radio, you're the Prez. That was how it was going. Yeah. So I was like, got to create a brand young. The Texas State Sports Press opened up when I was 19 or 20, and it's just been what I'm riding with right now. Yeah.
So you're gonna put that on your resume?
100%. Yeah. You look at my resume now, and it says a sports guy. Yeah. That's the opening line.
The sports boy.
No, the sports guy, because it's Simmons did it for a while when he was in Boston writing. And, since then he's gotten into podcasting. I didn't do a lot of the column writing, but I've always been into the sports radio and podcasting stuff. So, I took the mantle from him unofficially, and that's just what I'm running with right now.
So talk to me. You have your own podcast, of course, the Andrew Zimmel podcast.
Yeah.
So explain to me, kind of the inspiration, how that started. What were your biggest influences?
So I'll tell you a secret. If your name's in the title, it's popping. That's what Jesus and Mero say. Mm-hmm. So I put my name in the title because now nobody can take that from me. Yeah. Nobody's going to say, oh, well, we gave you this platform. Oh, well, we own this content. Yeah. Your name's on it. It's yours. Yeah. The downside of that is that if it sucks, it's on you, right? So what I did was I put my name on the podcast. I'd always been a really audio guy. I remember in elementary school and middle school, I would have I would listen to the books you were supposed to read over the summer on audiobook. When we were really young, my mom used to read to us. She read us all the Harry Potter and Lemony Snicket books. Oh, man. So I've really been into the audio, listening to somebody read, listening to somebody talk. So when podcasting got big around the late 2000s, I was already really into it. Mm-hmm. I knew I wanted to do sports talk, and I feel the cousin of sports talk is podcasting. Yeah.
I think that's the best part. I describe to some of my older relatives or something when they ask, oh, so you're a podcaster, and I kind of describe it as almost like radio on demand. You can kind of pause it whenever you want, come back to it, pick a different episode. It's all there, but it's still available. And especially I think podcasting too, since there's no time slot, stuff like that, you can have long form discussions if you want to. You can really get somebody's opinion, somebody's thoughts. I think you don't quite get the same thing especially over text, with interviews and stuff like that, because you can never tell if somebody's being sarcastic sometimes or whatever, but you can hear the tone of their voice. You can hear the change of the inflections.
So the problem is that any white guy can have a podcast.
Yeah, I know. What's the joke? It's when you enter college, you have one of two choices. If you're a straight white guy, you're either going to enter a frat or you're going to start a podcast.
I heard it was do comedy, but that too.
That one too. I always say that. I always joke. I'm like, hey, so my name's Cleveland. Of course, one of two options for me. I'm either in a frat or a podcast. I'm not in a frat. And that's how I always start it. And I don't know what it is about it. I enjoy it. I mean, my inspiration was Joe Rogan, because I worked for Bexar County court office in the summer of 2018, and that I lived outside San Antonio. I lived in Schertz, so northeast side. And it was, on a good day, a 30-minute drive in and 30-minute drive out. Of course, San Antonio traffic is horrible.
It's never a good day.
It was it was anywhere from like an hour and a half to 2 hours, and so I would just crank out episodes. And I was like, I really like this, especially because I was working for the office, but I was doing a lot of secretary work. For most of it, it's scanning documents, scanning old files, and I had to create a whole database. And most of the time, I'd be like alone in like a copying room, and so I'd put in my headphones, listen to whether it be Joe Rogan or the H3 podcast, these different groups, and I just kind of fell in love with it. It's like, I want to do that. And I think it's the best part about the internet is it's an infinite space in a sense that you don't need this licensing, like you said. You don't need somebody to give you the platform. If you have what it takes, you'll get it. I think that's part of the best part about it. So your show, breakdown, because you do daily uploads.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So it's a daily. I went from doing a monthly podcast. About once a week with KTSW Sports when I was there. And then I moved into let's do a weekly podcast. And then I got a gig with iHeart, and they threw me a bone. They said, okay, well, we'll put you on our platform. We'll give you 3, how many podcasts you want to do. But I said, I'll do a Monday, Wednesday, Friday show. Yeah. So that's 3 days a week. And then at the end of the week, I always had more things to say. Yeah. I always felt like I had like a little bit more to say, a little bit more to do. And then this podcast, I started less than a month ago. Yeah. And I'm already at almost 60 episodes. Yeah. So that gives it I do a Monday through Friday. And I said before we talked about I want to do more pop culture. I want to do more politics stuff. So every 2 weeks I have my buddy Alexander Haynes come on to break down the 2 weeks worth of news. Yeah. Because I think that gives you a lot of time to digest it. It's not hot topics. It's not this happened yesterday. Let's talk about it. It's hey, this is people's real lives. This is real stuff. Let's give you 2 weeks to digest it, and then we'll give you a podcast on it. Mondays I do. Or Fridays I do films, and then Tuesdays I do television. So I'll talk about a television show I'm watching, or I'll talk about a film I just saw. The films are a little bit harder because I'm constantly seeing movies, and it's hard to continue to go to movies alone. But it's fun, and I really enjoy it. Yeah.
So what's the best movie you've seen in the past month?
Well, I just saw Downhill. Let's do that one. Yeah, so I just saw Downhill with Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Will Ferrell. And that movie was 3 out of 5. It was fine. It was like a drama / comedy. It's always weird when you have that type of mix with those actors. The best movie I saw though was Parasite. Parasite? Yeah. I was the first person that I know personally that was in the San Marcos block, we'll call it. That was Parasite's a really good movie. If you haven't seen it yet, you need to go see it. It's in South Korean, it's kind of tough. Yeah. But when it won Best Picture, I felt like I was right.
I liked it before it was cool.
Well, I'm just saying, Cleveland. I'm just telling you.
I'm just on the cutting edge of culture. You can't don't touch me like that. For me, I am more of a show binge guy. I watch movies occasionally, but I'm more on TV pop culture stuff.
So you watch The Bachelor?
I don't watch The Bachelor, but
do you have a girlfriend?
I do, but she's not that much into it.
All right. Well, let me tell you why I got into it. Okay. So I knew that I needed to have an in to talk to girls. Yeah. And I said, The Bachelor is that in. The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, I was all right, this gives me a thing when I'm sitting in class and there's a little bit of dead time. I can say, hey, do you guys see yesterday's episode? Or, hey, do you see it? And immediately they were like, oh, yeah, no, let's have that conversation. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, they're always shocked at first that oh, you watch that? And but then the minute that you get them to talk, it's, well, I really think Maddie's the best one. And I can't believe what Pete's doing, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. And I'm yeah, I don't know what he's doing. I can't believe that.
It's the intrigue. They're how does this guy know about The Batch?
I promise you, The Bachelor and The Bachelorette are probably the best of reality TV. Yeah. I can't do The Kardashians. 90 Day Fiancé is fine, I guess. Yeah. Love Island, it's too cotton candy for me. But The Bachelor and Bachelorette, it's on network television, so anybody can watch it, and most people are watching it. Yeah. So
I think I might give it a look because I've seen multiple people now start saying hey, it's garbage sometimes, but it's good garbage. It's like that junky fast food that you love, just kind of like turn off your brain for a little while and enjoy it.
Well, I'll tell you what. So they do it a lot for NBA games. There's
Yeah.
a bunch of YouTubers who will take an entire game and condense it to like 7 minutes. Like these are the 7 most important minutes. They do the same thing for The Bachelor and Bachelorette.
Really?
Yeah. So I can get an entire episode before class, walk into class and be like, yeah, no, I watched the entire thing. I sat for a 3-hour show. For sure.
They do that for like the NFL games too. Like, they show like the best plays from the game.
Yeah. Condense it for you. Yeah.
Actually, speaking of the NFL, right now, of course, it's out of season, but the XFL is going on right now, and I wanted to talk. What do you think?
So, let me tell you what my listeners think for the podcast. Okay. So, I did the XFL preview. I brought on a CBS writer who's covering it. That got a lot of listens. Yeah. Week 1, I gave a little bit of a review, a little bit of a recap. That got fewer listeners, and then the next week. Same thing. Fewer listeners. Like I think it went from like probably close to like 70 or 80 on that opening week to now like 10 or 15 people are checking in to listen to that podcast. So it's like you can look at the ratings. People aren't really tuning in. It's if you like it. I've always said this, that if you're a big XFL fan, like I have no hate for you. But for me, it's like there's other things happening in my life.
There's basketball right now. It's good basketball. Baseball's just getting started again. It's just football is hands down my favorite sport. I love, especially NFL football, but it's just, I almost get like fatigue. Like I'm like, I get a little tired of it. And like part of it is I like the NFL because there's the history. Of course, they just celebrated their 100-year anniversary. You got these stories, franchises, rivalries, drama. It's like with the XFL, it doesn't quite have that, and of course, you don't expect that for not even 1-year-old franchise.
And the problem is that with college football, you have that's my college team. Yeah. That's the school that my dad, my granddad went to. Yeah. Like I'm going to root for that team. The XFL doesn't have that, and also the best athletes out of college football go to the NFL. Yeah. So it's not like the XFL is like chock full of 19, 20, 21-year-olds. You're like, oh, he's going to be the next best player. It's the guys that are kind of washed up or had their shot and didn't make it. Yeah. And
I don't know. Part of me is a little bit burned because I was actually really into the AAF last year.
Because San Antonio had a team. And I love the Commanders games. Those were actually a lot of fun. And I thought, San Antonio ranked consistently the highest in attendance every time. And I felt a little bit burned when the XFL decided to put a team in Dallas and a team in Houston, but not one in like the Austin and San Antonio area. And that, I get it, like they're big markets, but at the same time, you can't replace the Cowboys. No, nobody will. Jerry Jones is going to make sure that nobody does, and that's why San Antonio is going to have such a hard time getting an NFL team, an XFL team, because the Cowboys band's really strong, the brand's really strong. You know how hard they had to fight to get Houston a team again in 2000? It's like the odds of San Antonio getting a team. I know the Las Vegas Raiders were kind of dangled out there. I know the Jaguars have been dangled out there. Yeah. I'm going to break some news to you. It's not going to happen. Yeah. San Antonio's not going to get a pro football team.
There was even rumblings that like Al Davis, because Al Davis I think owns territory, like Orange land, like right in the San Marcos area, in between Austin and San Antonio, which that would be insane just to have like an NFL stadium somewhere around.
Can you imagine how bad traffic would be if they put it on like the other side of 35?
Oh, that would be awful. But I'm thinking about it because you need 30 of the 32 NFL owners to sign on for a new team to start.
Yeah, but Jerry Jones has a lot of money, man.
He can throw his way. Yeah, I think it's ludicrous though that Florida has 3 teams, but Texas can't have 3.
It's the Cowboys brand. Yeah, you need the Cowboys to suck for another 30 years, and then Jerry needs to die. Yeah. For them to even get a whiff of a team.
Yeah. I think it's interesting though. The Raiders going to Las Vegas. Do you think this can be better for them?
Yeah, I think so. The fans in Oakland clearly got burned, right? But I think Vegas is going to be that next hotbed. Yeah. With legalized gambling, Vegas is going to get a big boom. It doesn't matter that every state does it. It's going to Las Vegas and Atlantic City are going to be the two that are going to get the biggest boom from this. And because the reason is because all of these sports books are based there. Yeah. It's cool that, okay, if Texas, when they bring up the ban in a couple of years, because that's going to happen at some point, the sports books are all based in Vegas. So there's going to be money going there. That means advertising dollars. That means that the Las Vegas Raiders are going to make money. Yeah. And at the end of the day, that's all that really matters is that the Vegas team continues to print cash.
I think, Nevada is one of the fastest growing states in the whole entire U.S. too. It's a good market to go into.
Is there a slowest growing state in the U.S.? Because every state feels like it's like the fastest growing state. Like this. Well,
I mean, the United States is growing quickly in general, but I think you'd see. I think Minnesota is one of the slower growing ones. I think up there in Minnesota, because I'm working. I got hired by the Census Bureau a couple weeks ago, and just kind of doing my research on it, and basically, the census results determine the votes in the Electoral College, and Minnesota is kind of on that point population-wise. If they drop enough to where they'll be below a threshold and they'll lose one of their votes in the Electoral College. So I think Minnesota, that Midwest area, is shrinking the most, mainly because of the industry that kind of has left now. Or, I mean, it hasn't really left. It's just its jobs aren't as much there. It's a lot more automated. And so you see like the Rust Belt, you see Detroit, some of these, which are resurging because the economy's coming back, but you still don't have like Motown anymore in Detroit. But yeah, I mean, the South is growing pretty quick. Texas is growing very fast.
Yeah, no, you can look at Austin.
Yeah. Austin was never meant to have that many people.
Look, I think the Better Business Bureau or like U.S. World Reports, they said it was like the number 1 city or number 2 city to get a job in.
Yeah.
I'm going to give some like elder some advice right here.
Don't.
No, I'm telling you, like, it might be a great place to work. Yeah. There's not jobs there.
Yeah.
Like, I promise you, if you're graduating from Texas State and your plan is, I'm going to go work in Austin, you need to have a backup plan.
Well, and talk about the price of living there, too. It's
have fun living in Round Rock.
Yeah.
Have fun living in Buda or Kyle, because it's like, no, they're cool. Like, okay, there might be advertising jobs. There might be marketing jobs. Maybe the Statesman is just hiring people.
Yeah.
But I've always said this because there's a bunch of people that I know that say, I'm going to go work in Austin. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, are they opening up a new Chick-fil-A? Like, what's the plan? Because for me, I've never been the type that's like, I'm rooted in Texas. Like, I'm live or die Texas. Yeah. No, like my parents moved here when I was like 5. Like, I'm not that type of person. I will move around if I need to.
Yeah.
So I'm already looking for places out of state. I'm already looking for, contacting people that aren't like in the area.
Yeah.
Because if I end up back in this general area, Cleveland, something went really wrong.
Yeah, I'm that same way too. I'm like, look, if I end up somehow gravitating back to like San Antonio, San Marcos area, there were mistakes made. That's my game plan. Right? Yeah. Like, if you see me back here, don't talk to me because I'm not in a good mood. But yeah, just the rate Austin's growing. Because I mean, the tech companies being there, very cool. Like, it's cool to have like Google and Apple plants there, but also of course those skyrocket the price of rent, and that's going to make living there a lot harder for a lot of people who need, of course, you have more commuting, which increases the traffic problem. And I-35 has been under construction since it's been created, and it's used to lead to so many different problems.
Did you see that they put a proposal to change I-35? It's going to make it like easier to drive around Austin.
How are they going to do that?
So they said that they want to put 2 more like streets almost, like it's like a double-decker street.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then 35 will be in the middle, and then you can kind of go over and under. It's like, it looks expensive. I think it was like $70 million or something like that. It's just like some absurd number. Also, it's going to take forever.
Yeah,
so
of course.
You're not going to see it.
Yeah, maybe my grandkids will get to drive on it, if it gets done. And so we kind of got off the sports topic there for a second. I want to kind of bring it back because I also want to talk to you about Tech State basketball.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So what do you think are the odds that we make March Madness this year?
Like gambling odds? Do you want are you putting a wager down, or like would you?
I've got no money in it, but
okay.
just I want to hear.
So with no dog in the fight, I'll say this: that Casper last year had his best team. I don't think that's debatable. I think last year was their best shot. This year they've got a good team. Nigel has continued to be the type of cornerstone player that you expect him to be almost. Like it feels weird to say expect because when he came in, I don't think anybody thought that this guy from Beaumont was going to be the all-time leading scorer and potentially get his number. He's going to get his number retired, hopefully, if Texas Athletics does the right thing. Nobody thought that this guy was going to be to this level except him. So all power to him. Mason Harrell needs to come back and play. He had some undisclosed injury that I'm not going to speculate here. If we want to talk about it off the podcast, I will. But he needs to come back. He needs to be an impact player. Eric Terry has been better this last month. And Alonzo Sule he's legit. I've said it from the beginning. He's athletic. He's got footwork. All of that said, They're still fighting for the 2 seed. They play Friday night against UTA. If they win that game, they're probably going to secure that 2 seed. Mm-hmm. That gets you an automatic bid to NOLA. You have an inside track to play not only for the Sun Belt title, but also you win the Sun Belt title to go and be a 16 seed. So I would give it a 1 in 40 chance, 1 in 50 chance. Oof. You look, it's not great. They have a record that gives me goosebumps. Like, when you get to New Orleans, they're not a team that is consistently good.
Yeah.
Last year they had the flu. Casper will tell you that they had the flu. Nigel had a little bit too much dry food. Yeah. Kind of, I'm not going to say he choked, but it didn't have a glass of water around. Yeah. So it's like, it's gonna be rough. It's always gonna be rough.
I'm always worried about us playing UTA because those games are good, but we never come out on top. It seems like
the UTA they're always legit. They're always tight. Those games, but it's weird because I really like their head coach, but they're just like a fun team to watch. Yeah. Like they get excited in the locker rooms and stuff like that, and that's not like here. Casper's very buttoned up. He's got the jacket, got the tie. Yeah. He's very legit. On the sidelines, he'll yell at his players. He might yell at a ref, but for the most part, he's pretty buttoned up. UTA is more fun and loose, so I hope, knock on wood, but I hope that that's a matchup that we get in the tournament.
You think so? Because, I usually, that seems to be the game with the most attendance here, is that once everybody kind of comes back, starts the semester, it's that UTA game on the weekends. And the one last year.
It was a rivalry game.
It was a heartbreaker, man, but it was a fun time.
You want to hear my UTA story last year?
Yes, let's hear it.
So, remember they gave out the Taker jerseys?
Yeah.
So, also, side note, if they have a giveaway night, don't bet money on the other team. Texas State struggles during giveaway nights. They struggle during big, this is Karen Chisholm night. This is Nigel Pearson's retirement night. When they retire his jersey, bet on the other team because we don't win on games where people show up. I don't know what it is. We just don't. So they gave out the Taker shirts. I put one on because I'm an idiot. Yeah. We lose the game in a heartbreaker. We go to the press box. We go or the post-game press conference. I'm wearing my tag. I asked a question to Nigel. It was a little bit pointed. It was a harder question. He said, "You're wearing our shirt. I don't think you really can ask that question." Then he said, "We're gonna win the next 8 games," and then they did. So when they did the post-game interview, they put the wrap up on YouTube, and then they cut it for social media. You can see me in the video. Oh yeah. So that got on social media. It got tweeted around oh, they're gonna win a bunch of games. Nigel's really excited. They did win a bunch of games. So the video continued to resurface. The entire time you can see the back of my head getting yelled at. Yeah.
As I remember, because they got off to a red hot start last season.
Well, they played cupcake games.
Yeah, I know, but it was oh wow, we're looking good, and then it's just I think either we ran out of steam at the end, and
no, they got sick.
Yeah, they got sick. Yeah, sick. Competition got harder, and I think we just kind of fizzled out towards the end.
Nigel had a bad shooting night. Yeah, and that's what's going to get you in those games. If you have a guy that is if you have the only dude on the court that can score 20 points consistently, have a bad shooting night, and nobody else can pick up that slack, you're going to lose games.
For sure. So on a larger kind of sports level, of course, the Olympics are coming up this summer.
Maybe.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up because the whole coronavirus, Japan's Ministry of Health is considering canceling the games because of the health concerns that could cause. I hope not because I love the Olympics.
When so Alexander said on my podcast yesterday that the potential of them shutting it down is pretty high. Also, the potential of them shutting down the NBA Finals is pretty high. It sounds like too. So when he said that, my gut kind of dropped, the bottom of my gut dropped out because I was, that sucks. You want the Olympics to happen. You want them to continue to play these games. You want them to have this opportunity to compete at the highest level. If they cancel the Olympics, I think it'll be the first time since World War II that they canceled the Olympics. That should tell you all you need to know about how bad this coronavirus is.
Well, I'm just thinking about it, too, because if you look at it from a perspective of a public health administration, the Olympics is a nightmare because you have people from every country on Earth convening in one place that is highly, of course, with a disease that has a 40-day period of where you're contagious, but you don't feel sick. And so you're going to have people going around enjoying things, going out to eat, touching doorknobs, railings, everything, from all around the world. And then they go back home, and then suddenly they come down with something.
Well, and you know what they say, you don't want to be the country that spreads this all over the place, right? You don't want to, so say that we have the epidemic to a small murmur, right? Like, okay, well, we think that it's gone, we're not sure it's gone, there's still cases, and then all of a sudden the Olympics happens, and then everybody gets sick. That's how bad things happen.
And of course, it's going to be at the Japanese 2020 Olympics, and they don't want that on their country's record at all. It's a shame, though, because honestly, I've always wanted to go to Japan. I've always wanted to go to the Olympics. So I was like, oh, this is like the perfect, like, two birds, one stone opportunity, like bucket list.
Were you going to go?
I was in my dreams because, rent. But I would like to. I was like, maybe like if there's like a giveaway contest, because Japan was like offering like really discounted rate flights into the country just to increase both attendance for the games, but also tourism, stuff like that, because I mean, the Olympics is great for tourism, especially for countries. And so I was like, oh, this is a great opportunity. I was calling up my friends, like, hey, we're going to do this. 2020, summer, it's going to happen. And now with the whole coronavirus thing, I mean, I think my spring break might be in jeopardy now, too, depending on, because it's in Texas now. And I mean, I pray that it won't ever get that severe, but if you get to the point where you have to start, like, closing down cities or limiting travel and stuff like that.
Well, the thing is that they Alexander mentioned it, that it was like South Korea 2 weeks ago had 50 cases. Now they have 1,200.
Yeah.
And Seattle was his like case study. They only have 1,100 hospital beds. That's not ICU. That's not hazmat. That's beds in the city.
Yeah.
That's not great. Now, Houston has like a bigger industrial medical complex. San Antonio has a better industrial medical complex. So I don't think that it would be as severe in Texas because there's just more stuff there. But for the most part, I would say that, I'm worried too.
Yeah, well, especially because, I mean, Houston and Dallas both themselves are also big travel hubs. DFW, and then, of course, you have all the embassies in Houston. And I'm just worried that, because it's so dormant for so long, you don't even know when you have it. And so just thinking how it could spread around the world. But, I mean, of course, just my general anxiety about that. I'm like, oh, like, worst case scenario, because I already...
Are you germaphobe?
Not really. But, like, I have one of my friends on Snapchat, like, he every day is, like, giving me updates about the coronavirus. Some, like, starting to get me paranoid a little bit. I'm like, thanks, but I'm like, you're scaring me. Like, please. And so, I mean, it's good to know, but I'm concerned about, just because the nature of the disease is so easy to spread. And also, I guess this would be a good way to transition, into general politics right now, too. I mean, you saw Trump at a national press conference appointed Mike Pence in charge of the pandemic control efforts. And, of course, he somehow found a way to make it about himself. That was a weird thing. You saw he went on like a whole 2-3 minute aside about like, the other day I was talking with some guy and he comes up to me and he hugs me. He says, I say, how you feeling, Mike? And he's like, I'm feeling awful. He goes, then why? Because Trump's like really bad. He's a germaphobe, like absolutely. Like he will, like somebody coughs in the room, and this is before the coronavirus even happens. So somebody coughs in the room with Trump, he'll tell you to leave. Like he gets really weird about his health. And so, of course, he appoints Mike Pence. And personally, I'm not sure about how good of a move that is considering his record in Indiana, because they had a huge HIV outbreak in Indiana, and it was due partially in control because of his health policy for the state as governor. And so it's going to be interesting. I think it's, of course...
So what surprised you more? Let me interject here. Yeah. What surprised you more? That Pence got it with his bad record in Indiana, or that Jared Kushner didn't get it because, he's got so much free time on his hands.
He's going to save the world.
Solving the Middle Eastern crisis and the opioid epidemic.
Yeah.
And just...
He literally, I mean... The amount, I mean, he must be like in galaxy brain mode constantly to be like managing, trying to do a 2-state solution and also solving the greatest like drug crisis in the United States at the same time. And they're like, hey, why don't you just complete the trifecta and solve also like a potential global pandemic, the likes we haven't seen like since 1911.
Well, you know how like when you have a ton of homework to do for Monday morning and you just don't do any of it?
Yeah.
I think that's what Kushner's doing.
Yeah. He's like... I'm gonna do something. Like,
watch some Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Binge Blind Love. Like
Blind Love.
Yeah. I don't think he's doing anything. Yeah. But with Pence, it's like I don't have a lot of trust in the CDC in general.
Yeah.
They've had budget cuts. They haven't been able to prevent outbreaks like the swine flu or the Ebola. They had like some trouble dealing with that, and that was just a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, like, it feels weird. It feels like very trendy to be the guy on a podcast being like, oh, the coronavirus is going to kill us all. Yeah. I don't think it's going to kill everybody, but I do think that, like, with cold and flu season and with the coronavirus and with just like everyday stress levels.
Yeah.
It's going to be, if this does hit us the way that I think people think it's going to hit us, it's going to be rough.
And I think the part people don't talk about enough, too, is there's been kind of a growing anti-science sentiment in the United States.
Also, there's no cure.
Yeah,
so.
there's no cure for it yet. And some people are saying, honestly, if this strand is able to mutate kind of like the flu, this could be like a seasonal illness thing. Like, you could have flu season and then coronavirus season, like, back-to-back like that, which could be a huge issue. But, I mean, there's just that growing, I think, across the entire political spectrum. I mean, you have on both extremes, you have people who are very anti-science for different reasons. And of course, you have the anti-vax crowd, you have like strictly, Bible Belt people too, but it's you talk about that from a public health perspective and the risks that can propose, especially towards vaccination and herd immunity with a virus outbreak like this. It is going to be interesting to see going forward.
I hate it here. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's it's going to shake things up. I mean, hey, I'm not saying I don't wish ill on anybody, but, when the Black Plague happened in Europe, there were a lot of job openings.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
I mean, you had a lot of job openings.
Well, they're saying that Iran's entire, government could collapse because of this.
Yeah, their public health minister was like, while he was lying to the public about the outbreak, he was, dabbing sweat off his forehead, and then, the next day, he came down with the virus.
So, yeah, it's not good. Not good stuff.
It is going to be interesting to see. Well, we're going to take a quick break right here. And while we're on break, be sure to wash your hands and wipe down any surfaces and doorknobs. We'll be right back. And while you're scrubbing underneath those fingernails, here is some brand new music from friend of mine and friend of the show, Malik Carter, or as y'all might know him, M80. This song's called Hope.
Okay, Sailor wanna be ya.
Hope, y'all too dependent on it. You don't got a plan to get yourself on it. Yeah, you got the talent and I fucks with your skill, but your dedication lacks. How you finna pay the bills? I've seen too many niggas rotten go to waste. These niggas never work but wonder why they stuck in place. You ain't working till your dreams come your goals. Goals are obtainable, dreaming's for the soul. Like everybody dream about wanting to fly, but your goal to see a milli that can really comply. Life changes quick, but that's only if you grind. And y'all out looking for trouble and be surprised at what you find it. This the type of shit that make you wanna vibe out, chill, relax, take a time out. Play it when you in a rut and need to climb out. You know that if you hold on, you can get through what you crying about. See, that's life and it all holds beauty. Even the dark times that make you feel droopy. We grow our best when we struggling through the hardest times. That's when we turn our brightest and begin to shine. We all had them times we never thought we'd get through. Cause of our drive, them problems in the rear view. Or maybe not yet, and that's a part of life you stuck in. Feeling like quicksand, and that you sucked in. Or maybe you feel you're trapped, no light. Let me tell you, you can overcome it, get right. I've been there. Shit was very recent. It sucks when the tragedies are all too frequent. Good comes too, they just like a sequence. Nobody finna judge you for getting a little treatment. Keep reaching for a hand, somebody pick you up. Sorry, destiny calling, I ain't mean to interrupt. This the type of shit that make you wanna vibe out, chill, relax, take a time out. Play it when you in a rut and need to climb out. You know that if you hold on, you can get through what you crying about. See, that's life and it all holds beauty. Even the dark times that make you feel droopy. We grow our best when we struggling through the hardest times. That's when we turn our brightest and begin to shine. I love it when my brothers show that work ethic. We all got goals and we putting in the effort. We finna achieve them, don't count us out. We do it cause we love it, it's not for the clout. This a whole different vibe, a whole different feel. It's all gonna be worth it when I see that first meal. When I buy that big meal for my mama. She love them tropical fruits like a guava. Can't wait to buy them everything they need. They gon' see my first dollars, nigga, that's on me. All the sacrifice they made, all the times I was saved, they the reason I'ma work till I'm in the grave. I love you, mama.
All right, and we are back, and we have some time to answer some burning hot questions from our guests, and we're going to do some hot takes for sports with the Sports Prez. This one's from Rebecca Harrell, and she's asking you, Andrew, where do you get your confidence from, and how do you do it?
All right, so here's what happened. I had a very weird childhood, right? Yeah. Where it was I was the starting pitcher for most of my little league, and I always played on really bad baseball teams.
Yeah.
So when you continue to lose games, you lose confidence, right? Then I was introduced to, this is gonna sound really weird, and I listened to this guy when he was not crazy, but Kanye West, right? Legitimately, he changed my life because it was just the ability to just continue to speak it into existence that you're the greatest of all time. the same time I really got into boxing. So my grandfather watched like all the old boxing tapes, and I was watching Ali. So now you get this megalomaniac in Kanye, and just the poetry and just like the confidence of Muhammad Ali. And I really do feel like if you speak something into existence, like it will occur.
Yeah.
And I just honestly, I just talked confidence into existence. I just said, I'm going to be the best. 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 And I'll tell you what, if you tell a lie enough times, it becomes truth.
Yeah. Well, and that's actually a phenomenon in social psychology too. It's called the Pygmalion effect, and basically it's built off the whole Greek myth of it. Guy basically like creates a statue. He's like, damn, that's a fine ass statue. That's a double wide surprise statue right there. And he's like falling in love with it. He's like, I want to love the statue. I want the statue to be my wife. And he like longs so hard for it. Eventually the gods are like, all right, fine, here's your sexy statue lady, and like becomes real. And so the same kind of thing happens in social psychology, where if you genuinely like believe and you say you're going to do these things, you're more likely to do them.
I'll tell you what, people hate me on this.
Yeah.
And it's a phenomenon that I call the hating on the confident. It's just, I'm the most hated man in America, I guess.
Yeah.
But I've always said that like people that don't like confident people are not confident about themselves, right? That they lack something, they lack in their personal or professional life.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I told myself enough times that you're going to be like the best ever at like whatever you want to do. And you talk about like the effect of just social kind of, it is true. Like I remember it was like ESPN the magazine did a story on, I think it was like Mark Ingram, and he had 3 goals when he was a freshman in high school. He wrote, and then the last one was win a Heisman.
Yeah.
And it was just continue until he won a Heisman. And I read that when I was like in middle school, and I said, okay, cool, I'm set. That's my goal. So I'm gonna be the best. And I said this when I came to Texas State. I'm gonna be the best ever to come out of this school. I'm gonna be bigger than LBJ. I'm gonna be the thing that when you Google Texas State, that's the name that continues with it. People hate that. They don't like to hear that. But that's genuinely how I feel.
Aim high.
Yeah.
My thing though is with confidence, I always think there's a balance to it too, because I think the guys who do nothing but talk all the time about how great they are, I'm like, okay, but like, what are you lacking? What are you compensating for? Because if you have to keep telling people how great you are, and if you have to keep telling yourself how amazing you are, then
I had professors tell me, they were like, like my freshman year, they were like, oh, well, calm down, like back it up, and then once you start achieving things, once you start like actually like things start happening for you, they stop saying tune it down.
Yeah. So. Well, and that's, I think, I forget who said it, but he said, really, once you are the greatest, you don't need to tell people you are the greatest.
And they'll
do the work for you.
And I'm not yet. So once I get to that point,
once you have that, but you have that internal belief, and that's what matters most. If you really
drive,
believe you can just aim that high. You can keep pushing through. Because it's never going to be easy. I mean, all the good things in life are not going to be easy.
Let me tell you, waking up like 4 a.m. I wake up sometimes and rewatch NBA games just so I can like know what I'm talking about when I come on the podcast.
Yeah.
It's not easy. This is hard work. People come into the podcast sphere, they come into the social media, the sports sphere, they think it's going to get handed to them. No, it's not. When Kobe died, I legitimately cried because I didn't love Kobe, didn't love him as a basketball player, didn't like him as a person, but the drive he had is something that I've always like looked up to.
Well, even when I saw the headline, I just did like a triple take. I was like, no, because he's Kobe. Like, I mean, you got to the point where he's almost bigger than himself in a lot of ways.
He's an icon, and that's what I think. That's what you look at it, and you're like, I think people in media, I think that's what you need to like look for. Be the best journalist, be the best sports talk person you can be. So that's
where you get your confidence from. Yeah.
Kanye West and Muhammad Ali.
Yeah. That's good. Okay, so now we're gonna kind of take a full left turn here into full on sports mode. Okay. I got my friends. We have a big group chat. And I was like, all right, I got a sports guy coming on. Give me hot take questions here. So this basically be like first take or Skip Bayless and Shannon
undefeated.
Sharp.
Yeah,
we're gonna do undefeated here.
Undisputed.
Undisputed. So the first one is where's Tom Brady gonna land? Where do you think he's gonna go?
If not back in Massachusetts, probably at his home with Giselle. Look, Giselle is a multi-billionaire or millionaire supermodel. Yeah. Like, she's not going to Nashville. She's not going to go to Kansas. Like, she loves the life that they have. They've got a nice mansion. Yeah. Why would I have to move to across the country? Why would I move anywhere else? Like, also, remember when he lost to the Super Bowl and she was like, he's playing with a concussion? Yeah. She cares about her husband. She cares about his like health. I think that she's going to be a big factor in where he goes. Also, the Patriots are going to pay their guy.
Yeah.
Like, they've made so much money off of just being a 6-time champion.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get it. It's you own a professional sports team.
Yeah.
You print money. You use some of that money to pay your athletes. It's going to happen for Brady. I think he stays in Boston.
I can't see him outside of a Patriots uniform either. It's so. I mean, he's been, at least for me, I was born in '99. He's been playing just as long about as I've been alive. There's not been one conscious moment in my life where Tom Brady's not been a Patriot, and that's just, the more I think about it, the more insane that gets. But I couldn't see him in like a Chargers jersey or something, because people have been saying the Chargers, people have been saying the Titans.
Why would you go somewhere where it's like you don't know your receivers, you don't know your offensive line? Like, the wide receivers suck in Foxborough. The offensive line's good, not great, but at least he knows who those guys are. And like, once you're in a foxhole with somebody, you don't change battalions. It's not he's gonna stay in New England.
I think so too. I think he's gonna shop around just to get
his money and then leave. Yeah.
Well, I think God, it would be weird to see him in LA though, because I mean, you'd have some of the biggest names in sports in general playing in LA at that point.
Yeah, but at the same time, and I've said this before, like, LA is weird. Like, I don't want to do sports talk on the West Coast or like in LA, and the reason why is because there's just so much other stuff to talk about, right? Like, if the Chargers aren't good, if the Rams aren't good, if the Lakers aren't good, the Clippers aren't good, if Dodgers aren't good, if the Angels aren't good, well, there's so much. I can go see a movie, I can go mountain biking, I can go to the beach. Like, there's all these other avenues for you to do stuff. So in Boston, that is the team. Like, it's cold, they're pissed off.
Yeah.
The fans are the best in the world, I think.
Yeah. I think like top three, I think NFL franchise fan base has to be like Buffalo, Green Bay, and like New England. Those are probably like the most.
I like how you shoehorn Green Bay in there, but
yeah, we're gonna get to that. No, don't worry, Minnesota Vikings fan. But yeah, I think. But I mean, it's same kind of like, it's smaller, especially Buffalo, Green Bay.
It's a family.
Yeah, it's a family kind of thing. It's more dedicated. You gotta be a real fan to go out there in like 15-degree weather to go scream for 2.5 hours. I can't see him outside of Patriots jersey. I can't see it. So the next one is, who do you think are the top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL right now?
So Issa Rae said this on the red carpet in 2017. I'm rooting for everybody black. And I've taken that mantra and I go with that with my quarterbacks. It's Patrick Mahomes, it's Russell Wilson, it's Deshaun Watson.
You don't think Lamar Jackson's in that conversation?
Lamar Jackson, I was wearing a Lamar Jackson jersey earlier today. If you want to substitute him in there for Watson, you can. But to me, like, those are the 3 quarterbacks that any time that they step on the field, I think that they're going to win the game. Yeah. Lamar's not at that point yet.
Yeah.
I watched him play the Titans. He's a young quarterback. He's going to be fine. He's probably my 4 right now.
Yeah.
But whenever Watson steps on the field, even with the albatross of Bill O'Brien around his neck, I'm like, okay, he's going to do something special. He's going to win this game. I really believe he's going to win this game.
I mean,
Wilson's the same way.
Against Buffalo, they were dead in the water.
Yeah.
Like, I thought, like, wow, this is it. Like, this is a huge implosion. Bill O'Brien's getting fired. And then somehow, and I don't think it was Bill O'Brien, I think it was just Deshaun Watson and that offense's will to come back. But, I mean, they stormed back into that game.
But, yeah, Lamar would be my 4.
Lamar would be your 4? I'd probably put mine... I'd probably put Mahomes at 1. Yeah. I think Mahomes' play is unreal.
He's the best quarterback we've ever seen.
Yeah. I think Wilson's ability just to... He's mobile, but he's very smart when he makes his plays. Usually, he can manage the game incredibly well. Personal bias wants me to say Aaron Rodgers, but honestly, he hasn't looked the same since
the injury. Thank you, Anthony Barr. Look, I'm saying Aaron Rodgers was the most talented quarterback, had the arm, had the legs, and then Mahomes walked on the field.
Yeah.
And that's no disrespect to him. I put Elway in that same conversation, but when Mahomes hangs up his cleats, he's going to be the second greatest quarterback of all time.
Yeah, I think with Mahomes, I mean, like, I was watching him, especially against the Titans. I was like, this looks like vintage Aaron Rodgers. Like, this is like I know I'm like biased here, but like with the mobility, but also the incredible arm strength is like,
and the leadership.
Yeah, the leadership.
That's something Aaron's never had.
Aaron's a bit of a diva, and there's already grumblings about training camp and stuff coming out for him. Like, oh, please don't do this. LaFleur actually had a great first season for a rookie coach. I was like, dude. And I was like, oh, please don't make this bad. Please don't get ugly. We just got rid of our last guy. You basically ordered his head to get cut off. You ordered McCarthy to get decapitated. And now here we are. But I think I'd say Mahomes, Wilson, and I'd probably say Lamar Jackson, just because of
that's fine.
The amount of skill you can put in that position. Because I mean, the position of quarterback's changed dramatically over the past 20 years now.
He's 22. He'll get there. I'm not worried about it.
So okay, since this is that's the last kind of like NFL related question, let's get into this then. So why do you have what, like, are you a masochist, or like what do you like about the Minnesota Vikings?
All right, so I truly believe that sports teams get like grandfathered in. Okay, like if you tell me, oh, I'm a Patriots fan, and I say, oh, you have somebody from Boston, you go, no, I like the Patriots. I'm gonna like look at you. I'm not gonna hate you, but I'm gonna judge you a little bit. So my grandfather watched Babe Ruth play. That's why I get to be a Yankee fan. I legitimately was grandfathered in. Yeah. My dad was from Minnesota. He watched the Vikings, the Purple People Eaters. I wept when they lost to the Saints in Bounty Gate, which was you should hate too. They tried to kill Brett Favre.
Yeah. Patron saint of Green Bay.
The patron saint of Green Bay, yeah. Then, of course, they had the Anderson kick against the Falcons. I have Blair Walsh's kick against the Seahawks. Yeah. So it's just like, it's one of those things, like once you have heartbreak, you go with it, right?
It's a toxic relationship. You just keep coming back from it.
And something we both agree. You're a Spurs fan. You grew up near San Antonio. I grew up near San Antonio. So we got the Spurs together. But, everybody tells me, they're like, well, why are you so sad? You have the Yankees who have won 27 rings, and you have the Spurs who are one of the greatest franchises in North American sports in the last 50 years. Why are you so sad? Because a Super Bowl is different. Yeah. When the Vikings win a Super Bowl, you're going to see me in Minneapolis with the trophy, with the team. Like, I'm going to be weeping. This season, they went into the 49ers game kind of handcuffed. Yeah. We knew how good Bosa was. Yeah. We knew that Jimmy Garoppolo, if you forced him to throw, he was going to make a mistake. Mm-hmm. We couldn't stop the run. Yeah. It's, the run defense wasn't like our best. That wasn't the bread and butter. We had a really good secondary, or not a good secondary. We had an okay secondary, but with a really good pass rush. We're going to reload. We're going to get a corner. We'll be back there next year. I'm not worried about it.
I mean, I think one thing we both have in common as Vikings and Packers fans is we both got murdered by San Francisco. At least we did. Packers got murdered. You guys lost. But, oh, God, that was humiliating. And for a minute there, for like the first like 2 drives where we held them, we got them 3 and out, I was like, we actually might win this. I was like, holy crap. If like Aaron Jones can run the ball, like we have a shot. And it just one thing after another. And I don't know what it is, but Aaron Rodgers, every time he goes on the West Coast, he just lays an egg. Against the Chargers, against the Seahawks, against the Niners, it just happens. I don't know what it is about the West Coast.
I don't know. I think that it's also just part of like that 49ers game was that like, okay, Rodgers is the best quarterback on the field. Yeah. I really believe that when you have the best quarterback on the field, you have to take off the handcuffs. Like John Harbaugh kind of handcuffed Lamar until it was too late in that Titans game where he didn't just say, go be Lamar Jackson. Bill O'Brien, after every first quarter, has to say to Deshaun, go be Deshaun, because we're not going to win this game if you don't do something special. I didn't think they let Aaron do enough special stuff. Yeah. That 49ers secondary was like good, but we saw Mahomes tear him up. So I think that Rodgers could have done something similar if he got put in that position.
And the thing is, too, like looking back on the film for both games this season, Kyle Shanahan has just Matt LaFleur figured out. Like you saw that sideline clip, right? That one that went viral. He's like, all right, watch. It's gonna be our guy against tight end. He's gonna hold, and like immediately called it through the flag and everything. Like he has us down. Like there's so many times where like we played right into the trap every single time, and it hurts. And it's because like I just.
Well, I'm glad it hurts.
Like it hurts to like lose a close one, but like man, we were close. But it's just like it was just getting bullied on national television.
So when Mahomes comes back and just wins it for the Chiefs, it's 50 years. Do you feel you feel good about that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I always root for if the Packers, because they have a really, especially Aaron Rodgers Packers have a great way of having an amazing like some kind of crazy play in the early rounds of the playoffs, memorable stuff. Like, we're going to do it this year. And then getting the NFC Championship and just getting slaughtered. It was the Falcons or the Niners or the Seahawks. Just something always happens that ends up screwing us over. The Brandon Bostic game still gives me nightmares. That was traumatic because I had the flu. I remember I was sick on the couch watching, and I was like, I went in. I was going to accept, like, hey, we're going against the LOB. Aaron Rodgers is playing on one leg. Like, this is it. Like this is – we had a good run. But it's done now. And then we had just the most unlikely outcome. Our defense showed up. We were making tremendous plays. I was like, holy crap, we might win this. I remember I hugged my dad because I was grandfathered into this too. Like, it's a family thing because my entire family, I'm the only Texan in the Cleveland family. Everybody else is from Wisconsin. And so I'm like, we're going to go to the Super Bowl, man. Like, this is going to be incredible. And then it's just like, I don't even know what the odds were at that point for like a Seattle comeback, but it was like, it was probably 0 point something for them to come back, and just everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong, and then we choked it in overtime, and that was so devastating too. Like, you know, that you had it and then you lost it.
So here's some sports press wisdom for you. This is the golden rule of the playoffs. If your team loses to a team in the playoffs, root for the other team to beat the team that beat you. And I'll tell you why. Because when the championship DVD comes out and they do the entire, because look, the 16 regular season games, that's about 8 minutes of the DVD. The next like 16 is either the Super Bowl is going to be part of it, but the playoffs are going to be part of it. So when the Vikings lost to the 49ers, I immediately knew I had to root for whatever team the 49ers were playing in the Super Bowl, because it was I don't want to be on the DVD.
Yeah.
We lost to the Chiefs on a field goal. That's fine. Show the field goal of us losing. That's great. But I don't want to see my team on the championship. Oh, the 49ers had an incredible playoff run where they beat the Vikings. It's like, no, I don't want to see that. Just give me the Chiefs. Give me the Chiefs.
Late in the fourth quarter, Patrick Mahomes led a spirited comeback to secure it. You know,
exactly. I'd much rather prefer that.
You see the AFC side. You don't give a crap at the NFC.
Nope.
The NFC lost. Nope. Yeah, no. So
that's on every sport.
Do you think, okay, so out of all the NFC North teams, do you think the Packers is the most hated in the entire NFC North? Do you think people hate?
Think all of the teams hate you guys the most?
Like, do you think the Vikings hate the Packers the most? The Bears hate the Packers the most?
That's pretty egotistical.
I
guess.
I think we're the center of the North. I think so.
You think so?
I think you have to go through Green Bay to win the North. I do.
Mike Zimmer would have something to say about that. Yeah. Look, I think we both agree that the Lions are about 7 years away from being 7 years away. The Bears need to figure out Trubisky. The Vikings, Kirk Cousins is going to be not the quarterback in 2023. They're going to get Jake Fromm in this draft. I
think so?
Firmly believe they're going to draft a quarterback.
I want to talk about the draft then.
They're going to have him sit. Vikings will now if Diggs leaves, you got a problem. This is a deep wide receiver draft. I wouldn't be shocked if they got one in like the third or fourth round, because there's a ton of talent. You go get a wide receiver, you put him next to Thielen, the hometown kid. You go get Fromm, you got like a good deal. The Packers, on the other hand, they got an old quarterback who's a diva. Matt LaFleur is young. The defense isn't great. I'm not in love with their defense. The running game is really good. They've got a really good running, but the wide receivers I'm not in love with either.
We need to draft heavy for the wide access draft.
I would say the Vikings are the.
We'll see.
The team.
It's definitely between us two, I think.
You know what team I hate more than the Packers though? And you're gonna be shocked by this. The Saints. I absolutely despise the Saints. I hate their fans. I hate the team. It's so weird that like that is the team that whenever they play a game like. When the Packers play, I don't know, the Dolphins, I'm not like invested in that game. I'm not watching on the Red Zone channel. I don't care. Whatever happens, happens. When the Saints play any team, I'm rooting for the other team. Yeah. Like it's weird.
I'm sure you were ecstatic then in the wild card round.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And Kyle Rudolph pushed off. I'll own up to that. But hey, they didn't call it. We're good to go. We won the game.
The Saints also is just a miserable franchise in terms of just the shit they've had to put up with.
I hate Drew Brees because if you go,
I respect the hell out of Drew Brees.
For what? For what?
Because he's an incredible athlete. He's also a great guy.
See, this is what I'm saying. You got to divorce the great guy from what they do on the field. How many times have they been in positions to win games? Drew Brees is on the field and they lost him. Take 09 out. You can even take everything 09 back. Just take that out and go from their Super Bowl win onward. What has he done? Because like Aaron Rodgers has some like easy get out of jail free cards.
Yeah.
The onside kick. Yeah. He's been hurt. The defense has let him down. He's done everything he can. But
Saints have always had a pretty good defense.
Breeze, on the other hand, threw a pick in the NFC Championship game last year. Was the third best quarterback in the game. It would be Cousins, Taysom Hill, Drew Brees. Like, jeez. I'm just saying.
I think Taysom Hill. Do you think the Saints are going to have Taysom Hill or Bridgewater?
They shouldn't.
Either?
No, I don't trust either one of those guys.
Huh. That is interesting. Well, we do need to get more of these questions, but oh man, we can have the Drew Brees debate for a while. Okay, so the next one I had is from my friend Malik. He says, should Bradley Beal have been an All-Star?
Who do you take off the team? That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, who do you take off the team to replace him with it? Because I thought Devin Booker should have been an All-Star, and he was because Lillard got hurt. But like, what is Beal? Like, Beal's on a bad team. Yeah. Wizards fans aren't showing up to games. Like, if you watch the games on TV, they're not showing up to games. So I doubt they're voting for All-Stars.
Yeah.
And he signed up for this. He knew that Wall wasn't going to be back.
Yeah.
Do I feel bad for him for putting up 50 a night and them losing? Sure, that sucks. But, talk to your front office. I don't know.
Yeah.
Should he be an All-Star? Sure, but like, are we going to be like baseball and every team gets an all-star?
Yeah.
Somebody gets left out every year.
Yeah. So the next one is, do you think the Spurs playoff streak is over?
Yes.
You think so? Okay.
Yeah.
Follow up.
They're going to start playing young guys. Lonnie's going to get a lot more minutes. DeJounte's going to get a lot more minutes. Just the entire young core is going to get bigger minutes. Look, all good things come to an end. I say that about relationships and playoff streaks. Like, all good things come to an end. They got hosed in the Kawhi trade.
Yeah.
That's that's an open secret that they should have gotten Siakam. They should have got Brandon Ingram, but they ended up with DeMar and Jakob Poeltl.
So then follow-up question, do you think Pop retires after the season?
No, I think that he's going to stick around. Like, honestly, like, he likes doing it. You know, he's got a lot of free time on his hands. He does Team USA. Like, I think that he enjoys playing the games. I think he enjoys doing it. You know, when you're paying guys like LaMarcus and DeMar and Marco Bellinelli, when you're paying them good size of money, you want to play them. You know, so I think once those guys are gone, you're going to see a lot of young. And I think that he wants to play the young guys. I really do. And whatever happens. I would be more surprised if he retired completely from the game and just did Team USA. I would be less surprised if he took over the GM role. Like, if they said to RC, hey, you had a good run. Pop's coming back in the front office. Becky is now the coach. Timmy is the assistant. I would see that before I saw him just leave the Spurs entirely.
I mean, he's just, I love Pop.
He's like
so
Red
much.
Auerbach and Pat Riley in that way, I think.
He's such a good fit for San Antonio, too. It's just, it's such great. Okay, so last question, close it out. Hot take question. Are esports real sports?
So I get this question a lot, which is weird because it's like, you know, we want to talk about college football. We want to talk about paying players. Sure. We want to talk about, you know, baseball and the cheating scandal. Sure. But, like, people come up to me and they're like, hey, League of Legends, is that like a real sport? Like, I guess, like, whatever you want. If you want it to be a sport, it's a sport. Yeah. If you want me to, like, talk about it on the podcast, if you want me to, then tell me, shoot me a text, say, hey, I'd love to hear an esports episode, and I'll go get you a guest to bring on. Because for me, I'm too busy dissecting why LeBron James is so good in year 17. Why is Tom Brady actually the 5th best quarterback of all time? I'm too busy doing that type of stuff than to watch like League of Legends. I'm sorry.
I've seen arguments about like reflex time and reaction.
You think like Ninja is a pro athlete?
That's the hard thing. Cause like I think like, well, it requires some form of like high mental athleticism. Cause I mean, like, you'd argue ping pong isn't incredibly athletically demanding, but it does require incredibly quick reaction times.
Yeah, but your buddy that plays ping pong isn't going pro in it. Like, he's not getting paid millions of dollars, and some of these esport athletes are. I've said this, though, that a lot of the people who want to talk to me about esports will turn around and say baseball players are the least athletic players. That they'll say, like, baseball is not like an athletic sport, where it is scientifically proven the hardest thing to do is not hit a jump shot, is not to tackle somebody, it's to hit a round ball with a round bat.
Yeah, squarely.
I'm just saying, like, you know, Ted Williams isn't walking through that door. Yeah. You put Ted Williams in a gamer chair, I guarantee he beats Ninja.
You know, I mean, that'd be an interesting thing to see, too, is like how well the athleticism transfers over from different sports if somebody tries it. Because, I mean, and the thing, too, is the diversity that esports can offer, because there's so many different games. Because, like, I'm super into Smash.
Well, I just thought about the diversity of, like, oh, you got, you know, disabled, you have transgender, like there's you take all that away, it's just people playing games, and I love that. That's great, but at the same time, like, you need to, like, if you want me to care about this, pay me money for it. Like, if somebody says, hey, we want you to be the announcer for esports, I will gladly do that. I will gladly take the sports prez and take it to esports. You want to pay me to show up, I'll do it. But if you're saying to me, make a podcast episode about it, shoot me a text. I'll go get you a expert on it, because I can't break it down for you. I'm sorry.
That is all the time we have right now. But that was, that's
you brought incredible. The sports press on. We talked about Corona more than we talked about sports.
But hey, it was a lot of fun having you on. And where can people check out your podcast?
Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the iHeartRadio app, Stitcher. It's on YouTube too. You can just Google my name and it shows up. It's we talk about sports and pop culture. You get a lot more like this type of conversation, and personally, I think it's the best thing on the internet. So,
I'd be inclined to agree. If y'all are second best behind the Sam Mo Show, that's where I'm at for it. All right, man. It's been a great time having you. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me on, man.
All right, be sure to follow us on Twitter at Sam Mo Show if you want Sam more, and I will see you guys in the next one.
Bye.